Mm-hmm. What up? What up? What up? What up? What's going on, Cameron? How you doing, brother? Good to see you tonight. Well, that's what I'm going to get started with, my good man. That's absolutely what I'm going to get started with. I'm going to get started with the idea that the Jazz we've got some really good teams in the league, but we've got very few who are championship contenders that legit can win it. We got a bunch of teams that are good teams though, but we got a few teams that have a legit shot at winning it, and it shows. So last night's game, I wasn't able to catch the entire game. I caught a lot of the highlights, and what I saw angers me. And the reason why it angers me is because when you put a unit like this together with James Harden and Joel Embiid, the immediate reaction is these guys are going to do it. And you're completely taken away from everything that entails winning the championship, like chemistry, like togetherness, which also entails chemistry. Hello, Jillian, dear. How are you? You're completely taken away from all the intangibles, like being able to be on the same page defensively, being on the same page offensively. As a unit, when I watch this Philadelphia team, I'm looking at a team. I don't think they're disjointed. I don't think that they're disjointed at all. But I saw a difference between them and Milwaukee last night. When I just watching the highlights, I didn't even watch the whole game, but I saw a difference in those two teams. And the difference is my best player better than your best player. That's the difference. My best player is better than your best player. My best player does more than your best player. My best player is more efficient. My best player and my team overall is better than your team. I look at James Harden and I look at that team defensively. And outside of Embiid, I mean, Thibault is who Thibault reminds me of. Thibault reminds me of a modern day Andre Roberson. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember this, but Andre Roberson used to play for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was on the crew with Russ and Kevin Durant and Ibaka when they were making their run to the NBA championship, and they were in the middle of it each year. And he was an elite defender. Problem is, he was completely and utterly useless on offense. He didn't give them anything whatsoever, right? He didn't give them anything. And because he didn't give them anything, that was their Achilles heel. Because essentially what that was 5-on-4. Like, we can't use this guy in the meat and potatoes of the game. He's not very good at the stripe. He won't shoot the basketball. He's going to give us everything he has on defense. You know, Dennis Rodman did that, but Dennis could score. That just wasn't Dennis's job, but Dennis could score. And Dennis gave them so much more. So when I look at a guy like Thibault, I look at a guy who he has the other side of the basketball. I think he's got that down. I think there's a confidence issue with him. And the reason why I say that is because he gets a lot of open looks, and the logic that he can't score the basketball, that just makes him, it makes him look less than, because I really think that he can. I think it's a confidence issue with him. Maybe Doc hasn't given him the green light to do that. I'm not really sure. So I look at this Philadelphia team and how Giannis just went off on them last night, how solid Drew was, how good Middleton was, and how he made it hard on James Harden throughout the game. James Harden went for 32. Yeah, I think he went for 32. And he didn't really do much in the fourth. He didn't really do much in the fourth. No, he did not. Right? And because of that, right? And because of that, that was a big deal. And on top of that, that defense in Philadelphia, I mean, damn, they gave up 118 points. I mean, they did. Milwaukee gave up 116, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought they did a pretty good job in the fourth. I do think that. Right? I think that they did a pretty good job in the fourth quarter. No question about that. And I think that was the difference in the game. That was absolutely the difference in the game. That was the difference in the game for me. You're talking about a Philadelphia team that gave up almost 40 points in the fourth quarter. Almost 40. You're not stopping anybody. And I hear a lot of times when you guys talk to me about Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, the most skilled guys, and James Harden, and now Joel Embiid, they're going to be this. And nobody's doing anything on the defensive side of the basketball. Like, defense just doesn't matter. That's it. That is incredibly interesting to me. Incredible. I think that's incredibly interesting to me. That you guys don't talk about that nearly as much. I bug out on that. I really do. I really do. That absolutely bugs me out. So when I look at, like I said, when I look at this Milwaukee team, when I look at what they've done and what they have, I've been preaching this to you guys from the beginning of the season. I think that the road to the NBA championship goes through Milwaukee. I think that they are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. I think that we're going to see a rematch of, barring any injuries, I think that we're going to see a rematch between Milwaukee and Phoenix, simply because what Milwaukee does on the defensive side of the basketball. I would have put Boston in that. I would have put Boston in that simply because what Boston was doing defensively, they had transformed their defense completely. And Robert Williams was the catalyst to that. But when I look at what Philadelphia is doing, they don't play enough defense for me to believe in them. Not only that, I've been saying this to you from the beginning, that until James Harden shows me that he can get it done when it matters the most, because he could get it done against Oklahoma City. He can actually have a good game against Boston. But when it matters the most, can he get it done? And over the years, he has shown me that he cannot. That he cannot. And I don't know. I just don't know how long Joel Embiid is going to listen to the next year logic. I don't know how much longer he's gonna get sick of that, just like Olajuwon got sick of it, just like Malone got sick of it, just like these guys get sick of hearing every year. Next year, they get sick of hearing that. They get sick of hearing that, and I understand that they get sick of hearing that, because when you put the work in to be great, you expect great results. Milwaukee has done that. We're talking about a unit that has been up and down. And that's largely due to the fact that they've been hurt. You know, you had Middleton in COVID protocol. You had Drew Holiday in and out of the lineup. Then Giannis is basically carrying the load. Absolutely carrying the load. So when I look at this Milwaukee team, man, and I look at the landscape in the Eastern Conference, I mean, we're talking 1-4 is only separated by a game and a half. I mean, that's pretty incredible. But other than that, then there's some separation. Then there's a big drop off. So when I look at this Milwaukee team, the only team that I can honestly say in the Eastern Conference that not give them competition, because I think all of those teams will give them competition. The only team that I would have said would have been Boston had Robert Williams been healthy. But the fact that he's not healthy, I don't think that they could beat them. I don't. And I think that the Milwaukee Bucks, I think that they handle everybody else that's in front of them. No question in my mind, I do. So that's my afternoon, evening rant. We talked about the league MVP yesterday. I'm still having a difficult time with this Joker thing, man. So, and I'm gonna answer some questions about this right now, or I'm gonna have some interaction. So, Chris, you just said you forgot about KD. I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, because what did I just get finished talking about, right? What did I just get finished talking about with what happened last night with Philadelphia and Milwaukee? What did I just get finished talking about with them? What was the problem in Philadelphia? So I'm clear. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. What did I just get finished talking about with that team, Philadelphia? What was the problem with them last night? What happened? Okay, so you just got here. My fault. So you just got here. So last night, the problem that I had with Philadelphia is that they don't play defense. Their defense is lackluster. Their transition defense is super whack. I mean, we're talking about a team that gave up almost 40 points in the fourth quarter. And if you can have all the points you want, but when you get to the playoffs, if you think that you're just going to outscore teams, you're going to be sadly disappointed when you see your team shown the door. Sadly disappointed. So you mentioned to me, Chris, did I forget about KD? I just want to let you know that Brooklyn, with the exception of Minnesota, if the playoffs started today, they got the worst defensive team in the playoffs. Not in the Eastern Conference, in the playoffs. So if you think that your boys are just going to outscore everybody, 135, 145, it's not going to happen. I'm telling you that right now, and you're going to be sadly disappointed in your boys, yo. Sadly disappointed in your boys, because there is no team that I've seen that's winning the NBA championship, right? That's winning the NBA championship, that are slowing down, that are just scoring the basketball at a high level in the playoffs and not stopping anybody. There is not a championship team that's done that. So good luck with that, Chris. That's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Based on your previous takes about Donovan Mitchell last year with the number 1 seed and MVP odds, and it being weird that he wasn't in them, do you think Devin Booker is getting ignored as well? I don't, Jillian. And the reason why I don't is because Devin Booker, the way he's playing now, he wasn't playing like that all season. In fact, he sacrificed a lot of his game for the betterment of this unit. That's why they're so good. That's exactly why they're so good, because he sacrificed a lot of his game where he's not taking as many shots. He's shooting more efficiently. And he doesn't need, I think he's third in the league in 30 point. I think he's got 13 30-point games. I think that's good enough for third in the league. With that being said, he's sacrificed a lot of his game to be woven in with the unit. I don't think he's getting overlooked. No, I do not. I think that had he been healthy, I think Chris Paul has a definite better shot at being the league MVP. King, do you know what a herniated disc is? You know how painful a herniated disc is? Do you have any idea how painful a herniated disc is? And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Ben Simmons does come back, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he does come back. We're talking about a dude who hasn't played in a year, and you want to throw him back in during the playoffs. What kind of effort and what kind of production do you think you're going to get from him after being out for an entire season? And you're going to throw him right back into the fire. I'm all ears to hear this, my man. I'm all ears to hear this. No, he wasn't, Cameron. He was not, and he shouldn't have been, because a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was largely due to him. He had 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Him alone. I don't care about the feeling better, King. He hasn't played in a year. Once again, my question to you is, this dude hasn't played in a year. What kind of production do you think you're going to get from him throwing him back into the lineup during the playoffs? How much, what do you think you're going to get from him then? I'm all ears. So a guy who has played in the NBA for years is going to struggle after sitting out. Yeah, that happens. Absolutely. Especially when you're throwing them back into the playoffs. Especially since no, he hasn't done much because he's got a herniated disc. So he can't run. So no, you're talking like he's healthy. There's a reason why he's not in the lineup, my man. The reason why he's not in the lineup, because he's not healthy. And now you want to throw him back in the lineup during the playoffs? Good luck with that. Absolutely. Good luck with that. That's all I'm going to say about that, man. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't have anything else to say about that. And to answer your question, Cameron, I'm not surprised. Utah is one of those teams, and I said this to you already. I think they're at the end of the line with the coach. You can't justify to me giving up a 25-point lead and losing. You can't. They were up 25 in the second half, and they lost. That's coaching, man. That is coaching to me. I think that they're at the end of the line with Quinn Snyder. At the end of the line with him. Just to get back in the game, they got to go on like a 25-0 run or a 30-5 run just to get back in the game. That tells me that tells me everything about this unit. Just to get back in the game. Where's the effort? And if you don't like what you're seeing on the floor, coach, get some guys in there. Get some different guys in there because that is unacceptable. And Donovan Mitchell is upset. Well, he should be upset with himself. We're talking about a dude who has 6 turnovers by himself in the fourth quarter. You alone. You alone. I can't say that I'm over this Jazz team because I'm not over them, but I think that they've gone as far as they're going to go with Quinn Snyder. I just do. I think that they have. So, well, let me ask you this question, Jillian. Who have I been talking about as league MVP for months now? And just so you know, Jillian, over the last 8 games, even though Giannis leads the league in 25-point games and all of those stats that Joker is number 1 in, Giannis is number 2. And in the process of that, so you figure, I think Joker is number 2 in rebounding. Giannis is in the top 10 in the league in rebounding. I think Giannis is 5th, 3rd. I think he's third. I think he's in the top 5 in the league in rebounding. Right? So I think he's in the top 5 in the league in rebounding. Right? I think he's in the top 5 in the league in rebounding. He's got the most 25-point games. Joker leads the league in PER. Giannis is 2nd. Joker leads the league in offensive win shares. Giannis is 2nd. He leads the league in win shares. Giannis is right behind him in that. He leads the league in offensive plus minus and defensive plus minus. Giannis is right behind him in that. So literally right behind him in those things. So with that being said, and add all of that up with the fact that my team is a half game out of first place. Now, I said this yesterday, and I stand on it. I got no problem with you giving the league MVP to Joker. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with you giving the league MVP to Joker. What I am going to tell you, though, is if we doing that, that's got to be the theme from now on, because this year is no exception. There is no exception this year. Nothing has changed, or Joker isn't doing anything astronomical that hasn't been done before. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. All right, man, what's up with you, brother? I have no, like I said, and I stand on this, I got no problem giving the league MVP to Joker, but if we doing that, this is what the theme is going to have to be. We're going completely off stats. We taking winning out the equation. It's no more most valuable player to your team's success. That's no more. That goes out the window now. Now all we're talking about from here on out, all we're talking about is we're talking about the guy with the best stats, period. That's all we're talking about. And if that's what we're doing, we got to do that going forward. Right? We got to do that going forward. So OG, I do subscribe to the logic I heard from you on Jordan being 33, 8 and 8, 1988, and not sniffing the league MVP from it. This is a big reason why I got Giannis ahead of him. For that reason right there, fair play. For that reason right there, because what you're doing now is you taking out, when you're doing that with Jay, you taking out winning. Winning doesn't matter. That's what you're doing. And I got no problem with that. So if you're doing that, that's got to be the theme moving forward. It can't be this year, because the last thing that I'm not trying to hear it from any of you guys. If next year the Clippers are in first place and Paul George is 27, 8, and 7, and he wins the league MVP. Meanwhile, Giannis goes, or not even Giannis. Let's take somebody like let's take Joel Embiid, or let's take Jason Tatum, who goes 28, or Luka, who goes 29, 11, and 8, and Dallas is in 6th place, and he's leading in every category. I'm not listening to that logic. I promise you that right now. I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not. No, it isn't, Hester. It is not. It is not like that. It has not been like that recently. No. Who won the league MVP last year? So who won the league MVP last year? That was Joker, right? And Denver was at the top of the Western Conference before Murray got hurt. But who would have won the MVP had he not gotten hurt? That was Joel Embiid's award, had he not gotten hurt. And Philadelphia was in first place in the Eastern Conference in the 1920 season. Who won the league MVP? So I'm clear, Hester. I want to make sure that I'm clear. So we on the same page. Who won the league MVP in 1920? Giannis won it in 1920. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Milwaukee have the best record in the NBA that year? And the only reason why James didn't win it is because COVID shut the season down. Because the Lakers had the best record in the Western Conference. James would have won the league MVP had the NBA had COVID not shut the season down. How about the 18-19 season? Who won the league MVP that year? Who won the league MVP in the 18-19 season? That was James Harden. And you know why? I think Houston won 65 games that year, but he didn't win it in 18-19. That would have been that was actually Giannis won it in 18-19. Yeah, and Milwaukee won 61 games that year. They was in first place. All right. How about 17-18? Who won the league MVP? I think that award went to Harden. I think Houston won 65 games that year. I think he went 34, 7, and 6, or some nonsense like that. Right? How about 16-17? That league MVP went to Russ. Is that correct? Yes. That league MVP went to Russ. Now, this is an exception. All right? This is an exception in 16-17. How about 15-16? Who did the league MVP go to that year? I believe it went to Steph Curry unanimously. They won 73 games that year. Right? How about 14-15? Who did it go to? Went to Steph Curry, correct? And the reason why I went to Steph Curry, if I'm not mistaken, not only did he lead the league in scoring, I think Golden State finished in first place. I think they finished in first place. All right, so keep rewinding the clock. How about the 13-14 season? KD wins the league MVP. How'd they do? How did Oklahoma City do? If I'm not mistaken, I think Oklahoma City was at the top of the Western Conference that year. Right? Yep, at the top of the Western Conference. How about the 12-13 Heat? LeBron James wins the league MVP. I'm pretty confident that they were at the top of the Eastern Conference that year. They won 28 straight games with everything that James was doing. How about the 10-11? How about the 11-12 season? Now, remember, the season got shortened that year. It was only 66 games. Miami still did win. They were at the top of the Eastern Conference. They won 49 of those 66 games. Right? How about the 10-11 season? Who won the league MVP that year? I think that's Derrick Rose, right? Derrick Rose won it, and Chicago finished in first place. So, Hester, let's dead the logic of that. They've been doing that as of recently. Because no, they haven't. Every league MVP in the last decade has been on a winning team. Every league MVP. And I can keep going. I can keep going. So, if you're giving the league MVP to Joker, right? If you're giving it to Joker, I got no problem with that. Just know that this has to be the theme going forward. It's got to be the theme going forward. So, Got to be the theme going forward. So are we suggesting D Book is the MVP? I don't think D Book is ahead of Chris Paul. I don't. Chris Paul led the league in assists. He led the league in assists and steals. Now, they was winning without him. They were winning without him. They was also winning without D Book. That's the downside to that. That's the downside to that. They were actually winning without him. Well, fair play, Jay. Take it a step further than that. Not only was Westbrook, I need you to rewind the clock even further. Go back to the 75-76 season when Jabbar won it. That's it. No other player. In the last 47 years, you've only had two players win the league MVP who were on teams that weren't in the top three not in their conference, in the league. You've only had two guys. So once again, if we're doing that, this is what it's got to be going forward. So absolutely, he did miss too much time. So Bob Pettit won the league MVP with a negative record. What year was that? So straighten me out, my man. When Bob Pettit won the league MVP, what year was that? A 2XN. It wasn't 14. It was 13. He didn't average 14 that year. He averaged 13 and 18. It wasn't 14. No. In 1956. Let's see. Let me make sure I got my 2016, 60. So we're talking 66 years. 66 years ago. And not only that, like you just said, 33 and 39 in 1956. It didn't happen again for 20 years, which would be the 75-76 season. 20 years later. And here's the difference, though. The difference is that when Jabbar won it in the 75-76 season, let me run this down for you, Steady, real quick. So we can, I hope that I can get on the same page with you. When Jabbar won it in the 75-76 season, he led the league in minutes, right? He was second in the league in scoring. He led the league in PER. He led the league in rebounding. He led the league in blocks. He led the league in offensive win shares. He led the league in defensive win shares. He led the league in total win shares. He led the league in offensive plus minus. He led the league in defensive plus minus. He led the league in overall plus minus. And he led the league in VORP. Everything. Have we seen that? Oh, he led the league in field goal percentage that year too. I forgot. Let me make sure that I remember that part. So yeah, he also led the league in field goal percentage too. So that right there is what exactly I'm talking about when I say an exception. I know that sounds nuts, Jay. I know that sounds nuts, right? So if we got a guy running around in the NBA today, right? We got a guy running around in the NBA today who led the league in minutes, led the league in PER, he was second in the league in scoring, led the league in field goal percentage, led the league in rebounding, led the league in blocks, led the league in offensive win shares, defensive win shares, overall win shares, offensive plus minus, defensive plus minus, overall plus minus, and VORP. How are we talking about that dude? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about an exception. That's what I mean. So O.J. Simpson is not a top. Can you make an argument for O.J. Simpson being a top 5 running back? All time? Because I don't have him in my top 5. I do not. I do not think O.J. Simpson is a top 5 running back. No, sir, I do not. I don't think he was better than Walter Payton. I don't think he was better than Barry Sanders. I don't think he was better than Emmitt Smith. I don't think he was better than Adrian Peterson. And I don't think he was better. What am I thinking about? Played for Cleveland. And I don't think he was better than Jim Brown. I don't think he was better than none of them dudes. None of them. That's just to start. What does Giannis do better than James on the court? He's younger. He's more athletic. He's better in transition. He's got a better mid-range game. As of right now, his mid-range game has changed. He's become a better playmaker. He's a better rebounder. He's a better defensive player. He's better at the free throw line. So, yes, Jillian, I want to see I want to see Brooklyn come down here. That's what I want to see in round 1. I want to see Brooklyn have to come down here. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I'm all ears. Make a case for OJ being the top 3 running back. I'm all ears. Go ahead. I would love to hear this. I think the Clippers got a really good. I think they would have had a really good shot at winning the NBA championship. But I think last year was Milwaukee's year. I think this year is their year too. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Hang on for a second. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Let's see here. That is correct. $2,000 yards in the season, in a 14-game season. Can't fight that. No matter what I think about OJ, I can't fight that. I can't. It is a team sport, absolutely. No doubt about that. Other than that 2,000-yard season, what else you got? Because I can say the same thing about Chris. I can say the same thing about Chris Johnson. Adrian Peterson ran for almost 2,200 yards. So, yeah, I would have loved to. I would have loved to have met Dr. King. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. For you to be a top 5 at your position, you can't just have one great season, my man. That doesn't work. If you're going to be top 5 at a position, there's some longevity involved in that. There has to be some longevity involved in that, no doubt. Instead, he's talking about Moses winning the league MVP when they was the 6th seed. That's the same Moses that took them to the NBA. They went to the finals that year too, by the way. I want to make sure don't leave that part out. They won the Western Conference Championship and they lost to the Celtics in the finals that year. So make sure you remember that. Did you ever watch any N1 basketball, OG? Yeah, my man I went to school with. We went to the same school. He came in after me, but my man Ballaholic, I dug him when he was with the N1 mixtape crew. So definitely dug him. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not ignoring him. You're talking about Bob Pettit. That was 67 years ago. I didn't ignore that because I didn't go back that far. I only went back to Jabbar in 75. That was it. I didn't go back to the beginning of the league. No, I did not do that. No. I missed Moses. That's the one I missed. I did miss Moses. Yes, sir, I did. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Moses, he did average 26 and 18 that year, though. I want to make sure that we clear on that part. And I know that the team isn't very good. I do know that the team wasn't very good, but he did go 26 and 18 that year. So that's almost 30 and 20. So I want to make sure that if we had a dude running around in the NBA today that was almost 30 and 20, it'd be pretty hard to ignore him for league MVP. So I just want to put that out there, my man. Yo. I actually like this setting here, man, because it's not a lot of people, a lot of y'all in here. I know all of you guys in here. You know, every once in a while I'll get some new people, but for the most part, I know all of you guys in here. So, you know, I think Adrian Peterson is a top 5 running back all time. I absolutely believe that. I'm really looking forward to these playoffs this year, though, because I'm thinking about how close this playoff race is in terms of these guys jockeying for position. And I'm trying to remember when it's been closer, just in the Eastern Conference alone. Because I'm an Eastern Conference dude. I'm not a Western Conference dude, even though I dig the Western Conference. I'm from the East Coast. I'm an Eastern Conference guy. So I'm trying to remember the Eastern Conference being this close. I think the 92, 93 season when the Bulls ended up, you know, they won 58 games and had the 3rd seed that year. Let's see. When the Pistons was running the table, they finished, and I don't even think they finished in 1st place. All 6 of those years, they went to the Eastern Conference Championship. You like the Grizz, huh, Jillian? All right. I don't know if I'm loving them, but I would not be surprised if they were this year's. And I think that I said that to you maybe a month ago that I wouldn't be surprised if they were this year's Atlanta, where they just came out of nowhere, and next thing you know, they're in the Western Conference Finals. That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me at all. That would not surprise me at all. Mm-mm. I do remember that. I do remember that. Not only did Utah beat Memphis, the only reason why they didn't sweep them dudes is because Donovan Mitchell didn't play in the first game. Memphis is out in 4 games. It wouldn't have taken 5 games to beat them. They out in 4 games had Donovan Mitchell played that first game, because he didn't play in game 1. They proceeded to smoke these dudes the next 4 games. So I do, Steady. I do. Absolutely, I do. You get the example that you gave me. So let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Russ, Jabbar in 70. I'm sorry, because I forgot all about Moses. Moses in 78, 79. No, not 7. I'm sorry. Moses in 80, 81. Jabbar in 75, and Bob Pettit in 56. That's 4 guys in 75 years. 4 guys in 75 years, man. Come on, no, This isn't, and it wouldn't be a situation where Joker is doing something that's so nuts like what Jabbar did in 75. Who else did it then, Steady? You said a 4 seed. All of those MVPs that I ran off before them, all of the MVPs that I ran off before Russ, Joker, just so you know, last year, his team finished in the top 3. And all of those MVPs that I ran off, the last 10, their teams finished in first place. First place. So if we're doing that for Joker, so now what I got to do is in the 18-19 season, I got to take that MVP away from Giannis, and I got to give it to James Harden. He went 34, 6, and 7 that year. Or 34, 7 is something nuts like that, like 34, 7, and 6 that year. So I got to do that for him too. 4 guys. There's been more 4-seeded MVPs. All right, so let's run it back, right? Let's run it back. I'm sorry. Let's run it back from the last. I'm only going to go back from when Moses did it. All right, so that's 40 years. That's 40 plus years, right? 40 plus years. So we'll start from the top. In the 79-80 season, Jabbar won it. Lakers was in first place. We already talked about Moses. In the 81-82 season, Doc won it. Sixers was in first place. In the 82-83 season, Moses won it. It was in first place. In the 83-84, 84-85, 85-86, those 3 seasons, Bird won it. It was in first place, right? It was in first place. 85, 86, 87, Magic won it. It was in first place. 87, 88, Jordan won it. They was in third place. Here's the difference with Jordan, though. Jordan won the scoring championship that year. He was defensive player of the year that year, too. So let's make sure we remember that. Okay. In 88, 89, Magic won it. Lakers was in first place. In 1990, Magic won it again. Lakers was in first place. 91, Jordan won it. Bulls was in first place. 92, Jordan won it again. Bulls in first place. In 1993, who won the league MVP that year? Who won the league MVP in 1993? Barkley won it. Phoenix was in first place. 94, Olajuwon won it. Houston was in first place. 95, San Antonio won it. I'm sorry, David Robinson won it. It was in first place. San Antonio was in first place. 95, 96. Bulls won 72 games that year. 72 games. 96, 97. Malone won it. Utah was in first place. 97, 98. Bulls won it. They were actually tied with Utah for first, which I said this years ago. Jordan should have won it in the 96, 97 season, and Malone should have won it in the 97, 98 season. That should have got flip-flopped. But that's neither here nor there. in the 98-99 season. Malone won it. They was at the top of the Western Conference in 99-2000. The late Shaq won it. They won 67 games that year. In 2000, 2001, Iverson won it. Philly was in first place. In 02, Duncan won it. San Antonio's in first place. I could do this all day, my man. All day. And I only went back 40 plus years. That's it. That's what I had. I think they could trade Anthony Davis. What's the going rate on Anthony Davis today? That's my question. That's what I'd like to know. What's the going rate on Anthony Davis today? If Anthony Davis is on the market, what is the going rate on him? Don't stop there, random. Because even though Houston was in second place, don't stop there. Do you know who put Houston out of the playoffs at that point 3 times in the last 5 years? Do you know who put Houston out the playoffs 3 times in the last 5 years up until that point? Seattle put them out. Not only did Seattle put them out, I asked the question, how did Houston win the NBA championship that year? Seattle got bounced in the first round of the playoffs that year. It's the first time a number 1 seed lost to a number 8 seed. It had not happened previous to that. That was the first time that ever happened. Never happened before then. So when AD is healthy, AD is a top 5 player in the game. You can definitely make the argument he's a top 5 player in the game. So what is the market for Anthony Davis? If he's on draft night, if the Lakers make him available, what is the market for Anthony Davis? 2 1s and a decent starter. So who are you calling up? Are you calling up Oklahoma City? Because Oklahoma City got a slew of first-round picks. You can't. Who are you calling up that would take that deal? That would take Anthony Davis? Would Portland say yes for Anthony Davis and the Lakers get Dame? Let me ask you this, Ian. You like Dame and Russ and James? But I'm sorry. I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit when I heard Russ and Dame in the backcourt. I apologize. I'm sorry. Yes, Russ. Yes, Dame is a top 10 player when he's healthy. No doubt about it. I believe that. Yes, I do. But to who, Lucas? You keep saying he's going to get traded. First of all, he's on the books next season for $47 million, right? So any team that's going to move for him, it's got to be blockbuster. It's going to have to be blockbuster in order for this thing to work. And I can't see what team in the NBA has somebody on their books or is willing to give up that much for Russ. What team? I don't think Boston doing that. if that's true, Lucas, then why not do that during the season? You could have just did that during the season. And I think John Wall comes off your books. Well, he just signed that contract. That's not true. He don't come off the books. Oh, man, I'm not sure that Toronto was breaking up what they got going on up there for Anthony Davis. I doubt that very seriously. Any players that could have been the best at their position had they stayed healthy. Brandon Roy was on his way to being a Hall of Fame guard. Yeah. He was on his way to being in that conversation before he got hurt. No doubt. No doubt about it. I'm 100% certain in that. I'm having a difficult time with the logic that why don't you think Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, is a top 5 player? We're talking about a guy who he had a down year this year. He was 23-11. We talking about him. We barring his health issue, we were talking about him not being that good, and he was 24-11, and he was not that good. And we were talking about him having a down year. So when he's healthy, he's elite on both sides of the basketball. I've seen Anthony Davis be a first-team All-League defender while averaging 25 a game. I've seen that from him. We're talking about a guy who, with the Lakers, if I'm not, I want to make sure that I'm getting this correct. We're talking about a guy who's with the Lakers who he was leading them in points, rebounds, and blocks. And they were in first place in the Western Conference when they won the NBA championship. In first place. Now, he might be a little brittle. Yeah, I can get with that logic. He might be a little brittle. But when he's healthy, it's difficult to deny who he is. That's the different part. There was logic going around about Anthony Davis being, when they won the NBA championship, and this is another thing that I need to make sure that we do not forget. There was a conversation. Giannis has jumped him, no doubt about it. But there was a conversation in the very recent past. Who was better, Giannis or AD? We was having that conversation. Please don't sit here like that was not going on, because that absolutely was going on, and it was a legit conversation. It wasn't something that was we just tinkering with it and is he? No, it was a legit conversation that was going on. And yeah, he may be a little brittle. But when he's healthy, I think he's a top 5 player. I like the Celtics tonight, Jillian. I just think that this Heat team, they doing this, man, and I don't like it. I do not like it at all. I don't like what's going on with that unit. I think that they were a unit that was in unison. Now they just look disjointed. They look like these guys over here on a different page than these guys over here, and these guys over here on a different page than these guys over here. They used to be like this. They look like they're like this now. And they got to get back to being like this. They have to. Otherwise, they're not going to win, or they're not going to do anything going forward. I just don't see it. Yeah, there is hope for Miami. It's not like they trash, right? It's not like they're trash. They're still in first place, if I'm not mistaken. Or did they drop out of first? I think they dropped out of first place. No, they're still in first place. I think they're still in first place. So it's not like it's ridiculous that this team makes a run. So they back in first place. Boston is I think Boston in fourth place, Boston in third place, the Heat are in first place, Milwaukee in second. With that loss yesterday, Philly drops to 4. Yep. Philly drops to 4. What's up, Darrell? How you doing, brother? Jeff, I don't think y'all need to blow it up. I don't think that's the problem. Blowing up that unit is not the problem. I just think that they've gone as far as they're going to go with Quinn Snyder. I just think that they've gone as far as they're going to go with him. I just do. What do you mean my top 5? My top 5. So are we, let me ask you this question, Steady. Are we barring any health issues? Are we barring any health issues? Everybody's healthy. Is that what you're asking me? Everybody's healthy before, and we ain't talking about what everybody's doing right now. We're talking about before the season starts. Is that what we're talking about? Because if we're talking about before the season starts, right? If we're talking about before the season starts, everybody's healthy. Giannis, KD, James, Leonard, AD. Those are my top 5 players right there. Curry is not a top 5 player if all of them dudes is healthy. No, he's not. I don't care about the fact that this dude shoot the long ball. When these dudes are healthy, look me in my eye. When all of these dudes is healthy, by show of hands, who are you taking Kawhi Leonard over Steph? Are you taking Steph Curry over Kawhi Leonard when he's healthy? That's a yes or no question. Because I know for a fact I'm not. When he's healthy, are you taking Anthony Davis over Steph Curry? Because I know for a fact I'm not. When he's healthy, are you taking LeBron James over Steph Curry? Because I know for a fact I'm not. No, I am not. And I'm not taking Curry over Giannis neither. No, I am not. Nope. He does not clear Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard made first team All-NBA last year, and he only played 55 games. Dead that, Paris. Stop being a fan and come with facts. Don't tell me that he clears him. No, come with facts. We're talking about a dude who's elite on both sides of the basketball. Don't do that. Stop being a fan. Steady, let me ask you a question. Because I did watch Anthony Davis outplay Joker in the playoffs 2 years ago. I did see that. So you just said Curry and Joker over AD. Once again, we're barring any health issues. If I rewind the clock back, right? If I rewind the clock back to the 10-11 season, when Derrick Rose won the league MVP, is Derrick Rose a top 5 player? We ain't talking about right now, Buster. We ain't talking about right now. We're talking about before the season started. That's what we're talking about. Well, that's what I'm saying, JB. What we're going off right now is we're going off who's healthy. We're going off everybody. Health is not an issue. We're barring any health issues. Everybody is healthy, and the season has just started. We ain't going off what Joker did up until this point. We ain't going off what Embiid did up until this point. We ain't going off what Curry did. We're going off the season just started. Who are the 5 best players in the game? Jason Tatum is not. Sauce, what did I just say? Well, wait a minute, Steady. That doesn't work. And the reason why that doesn't work if we're going right now, because we haven't seen Anthony Davis healthy all season. We've seen Joker healthy all season. We've seen Embiid healthy all season. That doesn't work. We've seen Curry healthy all season. That doesn't work. The dude been out for 3 months. So we can't just you can't just say to me, yo, how about if AD was healthy right now? That doesn't work. Half the season is already over. He missed 3 months. So now you automatically gonna make him healthy? No. After what everybody else has already done, that doesn't work. That logic does not work, sir. No. Mm-mm. I think Kawhi is a top 5 player. I absolutely believe that. I am 100% confident in that. It is that before, but no matter what else, how good you are, how skilled you are, how talented you are, once again, all laughs, it doesn't matter. Your best ability is your availability. If I can't count on you to be here, then I can't count on you. It doesn't matter how good you are. If I can't count on you to be here, then none of that stuff matters. It just doesn't. So I'm good. That was years ago, though, Buster, that Curry had durability issues. He broke his hand in the was it the 1920 season? He broke his hand, he fell on his hand. That's something that could happen to anybody. Right? That's something that could happen to anybody. But that's not just him breaking down. That's not just him having a non-contact injury where he was running and he pulled up lame. No. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. They do, King. Absolutely, they forget how good these guys were. Absolutely, they forget that. I don't. I remember Leonard. I know how good the dude is. I don't have no top 5 DBs, to be honest with you. I wish I could tell you that I had the top 5 DBs, but I don't. This is a first that me and King actually agree on something. Because usually we at each other's throats. Yo, this is actually interesting that we actually agree on something. It has to be, Jillian. We can't keep choking each other out. At some point, it's got to be all right. No doubt. Oh. All right, guys, it's about that time for me. Heat and the Celtics about to light it up, so I'm about to get to this. This is absolutely awesome. We're going to do it again soon. I think the regular season is over in 10 days. We got to keep this energy going. This is absolutely awesome. The MVP conversation, seedings, all of this stuff matters. All of this stuff matters. And we got to keep this energy going. So I'll see you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.